What if I told you the biggest threat to the Asian music industry isn't coming from Korea, isn't coming from Japan, and it's definitely not coming from the West. It's coming from 5 Filipino men who decided to break the rules. Because while most Asian labels are obsessed with control, hierarchy, and tradition, SB19 built a system that makes them harder to control and harder to stop. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If their strategy works long-term, it could expose just how outdated most Asian idol systems really are. Today, we're breaking down the strategy most labels are afraid to try, and why SB19 may have already proven it works. Kindly like, share, subscribe to Starwave, and ensure you stay until the end, because the last part, that's the part nobody wants to talk about. Section 1. The Asian idol system built on control. Let's start with the uncomfortable foundation. Most Asian idol industries, whether we're talking about South Korea, Japan, China, are built on one core principle: control. Control over image, music, schedules, revenue, narrative, even personal expression. The system works like this. Trainees enter young. Companies invest heavily. Artists debut under long-term contracts. The label owns the master recordings. The label controls creative direction. The label takes the largest financial share. Why? Because from a business perspective, that model minimizes risk. The company controls everything. The artist is the product. And for years, that system dominated Asia. Look at the rise of K-pop under companies like SM Entertainment, YG Entertainment, and JYP Entertainment. It worked massively. But here's the problem. That system depends on artist replaceability. If one idol leaves, another trainee fills the slot. The machine keeps moving. But SB19? They didn't build a machine. They built leverage. And that changes everything. Section 2. The moment everything changed. When SB19 debuted under SB19 Philippines, they were part of a Korean-style training system. They went through the grind, the structure, the discipline. But here's where the story shifts. Instead of staying permanently locked into that structure, they eventually formed 1Z Entertainment. Not as a vanity move, not as a rebranding stunt, but as a strategic pivot toward ownership. And this is where labels start sweating. Because when artists control their music, direct their brand, own decision-making power, they stop being assets and start becoming businesses. And most Asian labels, they are not designed for that. They are designed for dependency. SB19 chose independence. That's the gamble most companies don't want their artists seeing. Section 3. Control versus capital. Let's talk business. Traditional Asian labels operate on capital-heavy systems, massive trainee budgets, high production costs, international marketing expenses, physical distribution networks. It's expensive. And because it's expensive, companies demand control. But SB19 flipped the formula. They built a digitally native fan base, strong direct-to-fan engagement, a leaner operational structure, revenue diversification. Instead of scaling through infrastructure, they scaled through loyalty. Instead of building bigger buildings, they built stronger fans. And that's dangerous, because loyalty scales cheaper than control. If more Asian artists realize they can build fandom first, build identity second, build ownership third, then the power shifts. And when power shifts, industries panic. Section 4. Why most labels won't try this? Let's be honest. Why don't most labels allow this level of autonomy? Because it threatens 3 things. 1. Profit structure. Ownership means higher artist revenue share, lower label control, smaller margins for companies. That's uncomfortable. 2. Narrative authority. In traditional systems, the company shapes the story. In SB19's case, the artists shape the story. That changes the psychological dynamic. 3. Precedent. This is the biggest one. If SB19 proves that artist-led management works, independent strategy scales, Asian acts can compete globally without surrendering ownership. Then other artists will start asking questions. And companies hate when artists ask questions. Section 5. The global play. Here's what makes this even more disruptive. SB19 didn't reject Asia. They embraced it first. Instead of chasing Western validation immediately, they strengthened regional influence. That's strategic patience. Because once credibility is solid at home, global expansion becomes leverage, not desperation. And that's very different from the traditional model of spend millions first, hope global sticks later. SB19 built proof first, then expanded. That's not emotional growth. That's strategic sequencing. Section 6. The risk factor. Now let's be fair. This strategy is risky. Without a major label, no guaranteed global playlist placement, no massive upfront funding, no safety net. If decisions fail, they own the consequences. But here's the irony. Because they own the risk, they also own the upside. And that's what most labels fear. Not failure, but success without them. Section 7. The industry domino effect. Imagine this scenario. More Asian artists say, "We want ownership. We want equity. We want creative control." Suddenly, contract terms change. Revenue splits shift. Long trainee contracts get challenged. Transparency becomes demanded. That's not just a business shift. That's an ecosystem disruption. And ecosystems resist disruption. SB19 isn't just building a career. They might be building a blueprint. And blueprints spread. Section 8. The psychological advantage. There's another layer most people ignore. When artists control their narrative, fans trust them differently. The bond strengthens because the success feels authentic, earned, self-directed. That psychological alignment creates higher engagement, higher loyalty, higher retention, which means long-term sustainability. And in today's digital era, longevity beats hype every time. Section 9. Why this scares the old guard. The traditional system relies on hierarchy, secrecy, exclusivity, gatekeeping, but SB19's approach leans toward transparency, community, direct communication, artist empowerment. Those two philosophies don't coexist easily, because one centralizes power, the other distributes it, and distributed power is harder to control. Section 10. The big question. So here's the real question. Is SB19 an exception, or are they the preview? Because if this model scales, we could see more artist-owned labels in Asia, more hybrid management structures, more revenue transparency, fewer replaceable idols, more irreplaceable brands. And that would fundamentally change how Asian pop operates. Most revolutions don't look like revolutions at first. They look like risks. They look like arrogance. They look like too ambitious. But sometimes, they look like 5 artists betting on themselves. SB19's strategy isn't just bold. It's inconvenient. Inconvenient for an industry built on control. Inconvenient for systems built on replaceability. Inconvenient for labels who never expected artists to want ownership. And that's why most Asian labels are afraid to try it. Because if it works long-term, it doesn't just change one group's future. It changes the power structure. And once artists realize they can build leverage instead of dependency, there's no going back. So the real question isn't, will SB19 succeed? The real question is, what happens to the industry if they do? If you want more deep breakdowns like this, not just fan hype, but real strategy analysis, subscribe, because the next shift in Asian pop, it might already be happening, and you're watching it in real time.